So welcome to the Learning Creative Learning Share Fair. It's been great over the last week or so seeing all the projects people have been working on and sharing in the discussion groups about that grew out of the Learning Creative Learning discussions over the past 6 weeks or so. It's great variety, and it's interesting to see all the different directions people have gone, building off of the ideas of projects, peers, passion and play, and the other ideas we've been discussing in the class.
So today we're going to talk about some of them, watch some of the videos, talk about some of them. We printed out some pictures, but also give you a chance to connect with each other, kind of a final time, and talk about things you took away from the course and maybe some of the ideas you have going forward.
So we're going to start off in the beginning talking about a few of the projects that caught our attention, where people just posted some images and descriptions in the online forum about it. So actually, Natalie, do you want to start with one?
Well, I guess I just also want to just say that, I mean, even to the last minute, there's things coming in, and we're like, what about this one, what about that one? So I think it's just, we're giving a sampling, but we wanted to leave enough time for you to talk to each other. So these are just some of the examples, and we're excited that there's the whole discussion and that they're ongoing discussions.
Yeah, and I would highlight the fact they kept coming in at the last minute. Over the last hour as we were preparing, we kept on saying, oh, there's another one coming in. And so it was great just to see the continued flurry of projects coming in.
So maybe I'll start. One of the ones that we thought to talk about was that Barbara Libby, Pie Lady, shared the process that a lot of other of you have been involved in with this, how did you exactly say? Creative, okay, the periodic table of creative elements.
Yes.
Is that right? So what are the creative elements? What are things that go into the creative learning process, and identifying those like a periodic table? And we were excited to see that she went to Ed Camp and offered a session. So not only here on LCL, the discussions, forums asking for input, but also live at an Ed Camp, going and inviting people to collaborate on the periodic table.
And I liked it. It wasn't just that she was talking about creative learning, but she also mentioned her own creative learning experience. The fact that she was, trying to be more of a risk taker and presenting this at Ed Camp. And I did notice that one of the elements in the periodic table was RT for risk taking. So that was one thing she really took away from the class and was trying to both, live it out herself and also share it with others.
Another thing I really liked is that there are specific examples, because sometimes words can mean different things to different people, and having real examples of projects. So we're interested to follow that as an ongoing collaboration within LCL. Do you want to say one?
Cool. Yeah, and I mean, these are not the winners.
Yeah.
They are just some projects that we picked. And so here's a project by Thomas Petre, I hope is the right pronunciation. There's 2 parts. And it's interesting because
I don't know if it's focusing.
It might not be focusing. It's an interesting project because it's both an example for something that's very early stages, right? So Thomas had the idea that when he grew up, he had access to a lot of tinkering tools, and it seemed more common actually that you would get toys that you could then tinker with. And that today, a lot of kids don't have access to the tinkering tools of today. And so he was thinking about ways that that could be changed, and he lives in a port city, and so I imagine him looking out the window and thinking, how can I solve this problem? And he saw shipping containers. And so he decided that maybe a shipping container is a good way to kind of have a box of tinkering tools and then send them around the world, or send them to kids who didn't have access. And I also liked, what I liked, which is not, you can't see on the printouts, but this is a photo of a little container, and it says on the side Tinkerthon, which is the name of Thomas's project. And he can confirm this in the chat or on the discussion forum, but my impression was that he took a picture of a different container and he photoshopped the other name out of the picture, and he put his own name on it. And I thought it was an interesting example for, if you want to tell a story about your project idea, it's really powerful to have images. And you're not going to build a whole shipping container and paint it and then photograph it. So you just take someone else's, you Photoshop your name on it, people get a different idea of what it could look like. So I thought this was just kind of a quirky way of getting the idea started, and then hopefully he'll go on and explore it.
I also like the fact that since he was talking about tinkering and engaging other people in tinkering, one element of tinkering is using the materials at your disposal. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he saw the shipping container, he was sort of tinkering with the idea of how to create tinkering spaces. So here's an example that came from Kathy, who created a blog called Love the Questions, Live the Questions. And one of the things when I read about this, I really liked the line that she had in one of her posts, or maybe it was in the overview, where she said, letting big questions drive learning. And for me, that captures something special, because I do feel too much of learning these days in the educational system is being driven by small incremental things. So the fact of creating the blog where she's letting questions drive learning, letting big questions drive learning, I think is important. And then the act of creating the blog, actually Philip and I were talking about this before, and about how the act of creating a blog to share your ideas and engage with others, as we talked about, we realized it captures a lot of the creative learning spiral that we've been talking about throughout the class. In creating a blog, it's doing a lot of both imagining, creating the post, playing and experimenting with it, sharing with others, getting others engaged, reflecting on what others say, and then creating new posts, imagining again. So I felt that this was something that was really living out the creative learning spiral.
Well, another one that we were interested to see was, what did you want to say? No. Okay, oh, you're going to hold it up. Okay, yeah. From Ryan Moreno and Jacqueline, that they've been doing, which we didn't realize, from LCL 1, they started a space. They were saying there's a playground outside already, but what about a playground in the early education environment where there's a formal classroom, but then they made an informal play, make, share area, and they have a website about it, and community members have come, and there's just a lot of great projects of the kids making things. So I thought it was interesting, this whole idea of an informal environment within the larger formal school, and that even at early childhood that isn't happening as much, so to make that really explicit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was really very gratifying for us to see how, from the creative learning class last year, all the different initiatives that sort of planted the seeds last year, and then seeing some of the things that have grown out of that over the past year.
I mean, can you imagine what will happen next year?
I know, because that was something that Cynthia was saying this morning, was that she's seeing that people are further along this time, and Heloisa, that people are, that you all have been sharing projects that are really well developed, and so we're really excited. Even, the ideas and plans are really promising, so we're really interested to continue to follow these along.
Yeah.
Did you have another?
I had one. I mean, so this was a little bit cheeky, James, because you picked the P2PU course, and of course I couldn't resist talk about it. But it's a course on reprogramming Makey, and the maybe one of the aspects of this that I found really interesting is that it's really two things. One is I'm very happy to see that people are taking something away from this course, and then as the next step, trying to share it with other people. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a really nice dynamic. And then also, I mean, as we were talking about in the Peers Week, it's a great way to learn more if you are setting out to teach others. And I'd love to hear James's thoughts on this. When the course starts, if he feels like his own understanding of Makey changes or deepens because he now has to explain it to other people. Like, I'm really curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'll mention one. This is Adriano from Italy had made a terracotta version of the Scratch Cat.
Maria, yeah, they collaborated again.
Yeah, it's a collaboration. And one reason it captured my attention was, obviously, I care a lot about Scratch, so it's nice to see the Scratch Cat in new forms. But it triggered for me the fact that how people take the new tools that we create, like Scratch, and it triggers different types of creative activities than we imagined. When we developed Scratch, we thought of people creating online games and animations. We didn't necessarily think about people, using clay to do things with Scratch. And over the past couple of years, we've seen it there's been a whole range of craft activities that have been unleashed around the Scratch Cat. So people are giving us different things. This is sort of like a beanbag Scratch Cat head, or some educators from Mexico presented me with this Scratch Cat hat. So I have to put on the Scratch Cat hat. And then actually one of my favorites, actually also from Mexico, is I have to bring this up. This is made with pipe cleaners, a tiny Scratch Cat made with orange and white pipe cleaners. So that's one of my favorite Scratch Cats. So it's nice just to see how people are taking the creative spirit of taking some new things they see, like the Scratch Cat, and turning it into all different forms, building out their own craft activities.
I've never seen Mitch wear the hat, and I'm so grateful to Learning Creative Learning for the opportunity to see you
We
wear
hadn't
this
heard
hat.
each other sing.
So between us singing and wearing hats, it's
And
getting
also,
everything.
have you guys ever had any cookies sent? Scratch Cat cookies?
Yeah. So we've had all and Scratch Cat cakes. There's all the comes in all forms.
Okay, so should we?
Should we shift to the video? So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's more that we would love to talk about, but I think we want to make sure that we have enough time for the breakout group. So.
Yes, there are a whole range of those videos that people sent in about the project. So we were going to show a collection of those videos, but maybe we could say a little bit about maybe some things for people to keep in mind as they watch these videos.
Well, yeah, we were saying maybe to keep in mind from Sherry and Cynthia, the head, heart, hands that other people have been bringing in. So something that you liked, we'll say that's from the heart, something you like about the videos that you're noticing, something, a question you have ahead, and then some resource or some connection that you also see with hands, some way to help or connect. But so there's going to be a string. We're going to try to identify who they are and say a little something, but obviously you can chime in and correct if we have anything that we haven't said.
We're going to try to post the names of the people who made the videos as they were playing. They're just going to play one after the other, and maybe a sentence or two about what the video or the project is about.
Well, we post that in the chat, so people
We'll post it in the chat.
So keep an eye on the chat as the videos
And
are.
please also share in the chat,
Yes.
and chime in, and also all of them have entries in the discussion forum. So if you want to read more about them and see what the creators had to say and why they did certain things, the discussion forum is also a good place.
Okay.
So then, after the videos,
Yeah.
actually, so then going directly into the breakout session?
No, we're going
Then
to come here.
we'll come back here. We'll set up the breakout rooms. Then we'll have about 50, depending on how long this takes, but about 15 minutes for the breakouts. We'll say a little more about that. And after the breakouts, we'll come back together for a live wrap-up. And we've got a few announcements for kind of stuff that's happening in the next few weeks. So should we play the video, Srishti?
Okay. Great, so I'll see you after the videos.